Last episode in this series was a bit of a milestone for us since we topped that dripstone cave finally with a 8x8 block module, which is our biggest yet, and it started as snowy plains. So today I've decided to double that. Yeah, you heard me right. We're going to be doing a 16x32 or 8x16 blocks in game, and it's going to continue that cold side of our world with an igloo, complete with basement. And we're going to have some other surprises in this episode. I think most of y'all will enjoy this episode, so let's get started. As promised, here is my 8x16 foundation. So we're going to start by building up the terrain on this, and it's going to be big because we have to match it up with the last one. So it's going to end up being pretty tall just on its own, and this is without the basement, guys. So we're going to start building this terrain up, and yeah, it's going to be a little while. Here's the completed block of terrain so that it matches up with the snowy plains from last time, and the back walls are a little bit messy, but you're not going to see those because I'm going to hopefully put modules behind it. Now that looks a little boring, just a flat dirt wall, so I was wondering what I could do with this, and I got a comment to build a player dirt hut. So I decided to go with the classic first night thing when you're hiding out from the hostile mobs, and so I'm going to make this little tiny player starter base underneath the big hill, flattening it off easily with some snot techniques, and then tiling off here. I'm going to add a crafting table and a furnace just as little starter things, as well as adding a torch so that players can see in it, and a little blue bed. I think this little starter base brings back memories of hiding out from zombies. And now we can continue adding up to this hill, making it a taller hill, and then making it slope down a little bit so I don't have to worry about making such tall terrain anymore. And then we can plate it all off with white plates so that we can get that snow started. And finally finishing up this terrain here with a couple more additions. And finally the last plate is placed, which means, you know it, it's time for tiling. And now it's time to start working on the igloo, so I'm going to build up the walls with white bricks for snow and light transparent blue bricks for the ice. You guys might see some familiar stickers on some of those light blue blocks, but don't worry, you won't be seeing them once the igloo is done. And now the walls are finished and tiled off, and we can add some of the other walls, which are pretty easy to build, just little chunks of white bricks. Now it's time to build the inside of the igloo, which means, you guessed it, more white plates. Now we're going to add the gray carpet with the light gray tiles, and then of course the 9 squares of white carpet with more white tiles. The furniture in the igloo is pretty simple. We have a crafting table, a furnace, and a redstone torch because a normal torch would melt the ice windows. And then we're going to have a red bed, which is pretty simple. You might recognize this next assembly. It's already built because it is basically the original igloo basement build I did in my original MOC series, except this time I polished it up and made it completely block accurate and made a couple extra modifications. Now it's time to tile this off. Now we can put the support beam back on, and we can put that roof nicely in using some snot bricks, and there we go. There's our igloo basement complete. Looking back on this was before I remembered that igloo basements have cauldrons, but don't worry, I got one in the armory, and so I put that in later on. Now we're going to tile off the top, and it perfectly matches up with the rest of our cave builds. Going back to the above ground build, I used this piece so that the roof could just sit on very nicely, and yes, I whipped out some more white plates and bricks and tiles and built a roof, finishing off our igloo build. Now it's time to populate this place, so we're going to have our fox dude from the Fox Lodge making his underground base here. And then we're going to have an Arctic fox exploring around here, as well as a creeper who's just going to cause some trouble. And now one of my favorite parts, connecting this to the rest of the world. So first we're going to put our igloo basement and our igloo builds together, and it goes on really nicely. This build has turned out to be quite a big one. I mean, it's 3 levels of building. We have the igloo basement, and then the underground base, and then the igloo on top. Now it's time to attach this to the rest of the world, so here we go. Wow, so there's our completed world so far. Yeah, it got a lot bigger. But there are some gaps now in the underground section. 2 little gaps that can be filled in with caves. So it looks like I have my work cut out for me for next episode, but if you have any ideas, feel free to drop them below and I might do them in a future episode. But for now, that's all for today. I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you next time.